Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name is Elizabeth and today's class is focusing on bringing a little bit of flexibility and mobility into our hamstrings. So if you are a runner or you just enjoy walking, or even if you're a moderate jogger, then this is the class for you. So whenever you're ready, find some space, roll out your mat and let's get started. So we're going to start today's class, we're going to get straight into it and start off on all fours. So if we stack our wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips, and just find that neutral spine, so we're not dipping and we're not arching, but just finding that neutral spine posture, and extend our left leg behind us. Keep the toes to the floor, push the heel away, just so that we get a stretch down the back of the calf. Try not to let the head sink down in between the shoulders. So we're drawing the shoulders back and down, leveling off the hips as much as we can. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, maybe even having a little rock forwards and backwards. So we don't have to hold any of these postures in a static position. Just working down through the back of the leg here. From here, we're going to move it onto the side. So if we just draw our right hand more into the center of the mat, just pivot on that right knee and extend that left arm up towards the ceiling. So we can stay here, keeping that left foot glued towards the mat, or if you want, we can just lift that leg up and push the heel away as though we are pushing into a wall behind us. Maybe even extending that left arm overhead as well, so making that body into a long line. Drop the left foot back down, drop the hand back down, return yourself onto all fours. And before we come onto the other side, just mobilizing the spine through our cat-cow. So starting with that tailbone, lifting it up towards the ceiling, drawing the shoulders back and down, possibly lifting the gaze, and then reversing that movement. Again, starting from the base of the spine, curling up, tucking that chin. A couple of cat-cows just to bring a little bit of mobilization through the back body. Finding our neutral spine again. This time we're taking that right leg behind, toes to the floor, and just push that heel away. Maybe rocking forwards and backwards here, noticing how it feels, trying to keep the hips as square as possible. Before bringing that body weight forward, the left hand draws to the center as we roll over onto that left knee, extending the right arm up, and again choosing to stay here or lifting the leg up behind us, even reaching the arm overhead. Keep breathing, keep drawing that belly button in, keeping our core strong. As we drop the foot down, the hand returns to the floor, finding that all fours position, little wag of the old tail. Touching the toes together now and then bringing the knees mat width distance and dropping down into a child's pose. So this version of a child's pose works a little bit more into the hips, and we can bring the forearms down, drop the head, or even drop the head all the way towards the floor. Working a little deeper into the hips because all of our body parts are connected. They're not just individual little things that we just work on. We try and work everything as a whole. So even though we are focusing on the hamstrings, everything else plays a little bit of a part as well. So from our child's pose, push yourself into a kneeling position. Now I know this isn't going to work for everyone, especially if you have tightness in the knees. So if that's the case, you can put a towel behind the back of your leg so that you are not sitting all the way down, but you are sitting up a bit. Or indeed, you can come into this pose. We're going to stretch down through the back of the feet now, an area of the body that is neglected. But if you are doing walking or running, you are obviously pounding the pavements with the soles of your feet. So this is a really nice stretch where you sit on the heels and you are on the balls of your feet, sitting up nice and tall. Now this can be very uncomfortable. As long as it's not painful, Try and stick with it. To intensify that stretch, if you want to, you can walk the knees a little bit further forward. It's too much, walk those knees backwards, or even take the weight off the feet, come onto the hands and give the toes a little bit of a wiggle here. See if you can hold it just for a couple of breaths. And in this posture, find softness through the rest of the body. Try and relax into the posture, as difficult as it may seem here. See if you can just hold it for 2 more inhales. Nice deep inhales and 2 long exhales. And then come forward, back onto all fours. Give those toes a little bit of a wiggle here. And all we are going to do is work our way into our downward facing dog. So again, tucking those toes again if they're not too sore, lifting the hips up and back and coming into our downward dog. Widening those fingers, finding that weight even between the hands and the feet as we bend one knee and just lower the opposite heel to the floor. So just walking out through the back of the legs. Let the head feel heavy, give it a little bit of a shake as though you're saying no. And then lifting our right leg up towards the ceiling, draw the knee into the nose and then drop that right foot down between the hands. So we're coming into a low lunge position. Take the top of the foot to the floor and bring yourself up to a more upright posture here. The knee is over the ankle and just relaxing the shoulders and resting the hands on top of that right thigh. Take a lovely breath in, and as you exhale, just draw yourself forward. So we're stretching down the inside of that left leg here. Try not to collapse totally into this posture. Have some control. Stay strong in your core. So we just draw the hips forward without collapsing. The spine remains tall and lengthened. Maybe even squeeze that left glute cheek. Let it know you care. Couple of breaths here. And then dropping the hands down either side of that right foot or that right leg. And we're just going to walk the hands backwards so that we bring some length down through the back of the right leg. Leveling off the hips. We can turn the toes up towards the ceiling if you're feeling super flexible. We can have a bend in that knee if that right leg is feeling quite tight. Bringing movement in again, so not staying still in this posture. So we can just walk the hands forward, bring a deeper bend in. Walk the hands back, lifting the toes. Have a little play around with it. See what it feels like. Come to the edge of your comfortability in this posture. And then if you want to, maybe hold the hamstring stretch for a couple of breaths, but don't push yourself further than your body wants to go. Hamstrings take a long time to mend themselves once you have a little incident with them. So do be gentle with yourself. Let's walk those hands forward once more. Tuck the toes of the back foot, step it back into our downward dog. Lift that left leg, bend the knee into the nose, step the foot between the hands and come down onto our right knee. Find the foundations first. So the right knee is pushed back a little way. Lift yourself up, find that balance. Rest the hands on the knee and we sink the hips forward. Again, we're not collapsing. One side of the body may feel tighter than the other, and that's okay. We're not symmetrical beings. Don't expect you to move exactly the same way, one side of the body than the other. And then we drop the hands down either side of that left leg, that left foot, and we shift the bottom towards the heel. Maybe walking the hands forward, bringing movement in. If you are right-handed, then the left-hand side of the body might feel a little bit tighter. If you're left-handed, then this side should be a breeze. So again, just a few little rocks forwards and backwards, finding the old sweet spot. And when you're there, try and find a little bit of stillness, a little bit of space in the body focusing on the breath. So always coming back to the breath, letting the breath carry the movement. Bringing the hands forward. Let's tuck the toes of that back foot. And we're going to step it forward. So we're not going to come back into a downward dog. We're going to bring our right foot to the top of the mat. Maybe heel toe the feet about hip distance apart. If I just scoot myself around so you can see. Have a bend in the knees and just let yourself hang out in this little rag doll. So we have bent knees here, which means we're stretching more down into our spine. Our feet are mat distance apart. And from here, we're just going to turn the toes just out a little bit. And then maybe work on straightening through the back of the legs. So we bend the knees and then lifting up, keeping that head relaxing down towards the floor. Very gentle movements. And again, just listening to your body, listening to what those hamstrings are saying. And if they're saying, I really don't want to do this, then you keep a deep bend in those knees. We don't have to go too far. Very slowly, work your way up to standing. Till we are standing tall at the top of our mat in our Tadasana, in our mountain pose. Bringing the hands to the heart. So we're going to lift our left leg up. A little bit of a balance here as well. And step that left foot behind us. Nice big wide step. And then turn to face the long edge of your mat. Toes are facing forward, so we're not flaring them out to the side. They are very much facing forward. Rolling the shoulders back and down. Really planting all the corners of the feet into the floor. The big toe, the little toe, the center point of the heel. And then as we breathe out, we hinge from the hips with a flat back and we come forward. Now, if our hands don't touch the floor, rest them on the front of the legs or even on a block. So I've got a few yoga blocks here. If you haven't got a block, by the way, a shoe box or a heavy tome is always handy for these sort of postures. So you can rest your hands on the block. If the floor seems a long way away from you today, scoot that back over there. In this posture, if we can, try and keep the hips over the heels rather than going too far backwards or too far forwards. So we are keeping that weight centered still between the big toe, the little toe, and the heel as well. Just a couple of breaths here, or as long as you want to stay, quite frankly. And then working your way back up to standing. You have to excuse me using my legs as a little bit of a prop. My back is slightly sore. Moving smoothly into triangle pose. So our left foot stays where it is and we turn our right foot to face the top of our mat and we reach our arms up to shoulder height. Nice big inhale as we exhale, extending and lengthening forward. Rotating the arms over, finding our triangle pose. Left arm reaches skyward, or we can even drop it behind our back if that feels better to roll that top shoulder. Don't worry how far down the leg this hand comes. 2 straight legs, so you are possibly feeling it down the back of that right leg. Notice how the old neck feels as well. If it's too much to look up towards the ceiling or forward, just shift the gaze down towards that back foot, because that's where we're all going to end up. We're all going to take a little look down at our right big toe, bring a bend into the knee, bring our hands back to the heart as we shift our way forward. So we roll onto the ball of our left foot, our hips are square, down into that low lunge. And then from our low lunge position, taking our hands down either side of that right foot, or you can keep your hands on your thigh. If this is too much on that left knee, roll your mat over, have a little bit of padding, a little bit of support. I'm going to rest my right forearm on my right thigh. We bring a little bend into that left knee and see if we can locate the foot behind us. Keep the shoulders facing the front, the hips are square to the front, the shoulders are square to the front, trying to stay lifted through the torso and gently apply a small emphasis on small amount of pressure as you draw the heel in towards the bottom. So not only are we working into the hamstrings, a little bit into the hips, we are now focusing on the front of the leg, the quads. All of these muscles playing a huge part in our daily activities. Let's release that back down to the floor. Take the hands down. From here, we're going to step our left foot to meet our right at the top of the mat. Fold when we get there, and then bring ourselves up to standing, a big stretch, hands down towards the heart. Taking a step back with the right foot again, turning those feet once more to face the long edge of the mat. Exactly the same position, the toes facing forward, the heels behind the toes. Hands onto the waist, roll the old shoulders back and down. Again, hinging from the hips and leading with the chest as we extend and lengthen. You might find the back of the legs are feeling slightly more mobile. You may find you can go a little further, but again, listen to your body and don't push yourself into any shape that your body is not willing to make. Staying here for a few breaths before working your way back up to standing as we come into triangle on the opposite side. So the left toes turn to face the back of the mat. That right foot stays where it is. We reach the arms up, extend on our inhale, rotate on the exhale, triangle pose on this side, reaching those fingers up. Few breaths here. Trying to keep softness through the jaw if that's somewhere where you hold onto your tension. Try and keep everything nice and soft. As we turn our gaze towards the left foot, bring a bend into the knee, sweep ourselves around onto the ball of that right foot and slowly sink down into our low lunge. So exactly the same, just on the opposite side. This time, maybe taking the hand, the forearm onto that left leg. You can even take the hand to the floor if you want to. I'm going to stay in this more upright position today. Rolling the mat over if you need extra support under that knee, which I seem to need today on this side. And then see if you can locate that right foot in your right hand. It requires a little bit of balance and focus. Try not to hold your breath. Keep upright in the body as much as you can, only applying a small amount of pressure as you draw the heel in towards the bottom. When you're ready, release that down, unfurl the mat, and we're just going to walk our way all the way back around to the front. Step it back into our downward dog, walking the feet out a little bit more here. Step your feet halfway up the mat and see if we can sink ourselves down into a little squat posture before dropping down onto our knees and extending our legs in front of us here. We're going to bring ourselves all the way down onto our mat now. So however you choose to get there, I always like to bend my knees, rolling all the way down onto the floor. You can hug your knees in if you wish, have a little roll about on the mat. And then when you are ready, plant the left foot down towards the floor and extend our right leg up towards the ceiling. Keeping the shoulders really relaxed on the mat, maybe holding behind the thigh or the calf or even the big toe. If that means that you're lifting and straining to get there, then just stay with one of the other options. Keeping this left knee bent just helps with lengthening through the opposite leg. But if you are feeling quite loose and flexible, down the back of that right leg, you can extend the left leg to the floor. We move with the breath here and apply very, very gentle pressure onto the leg with the exhale. So we breathe in and just notice how the leg's feeling, how the rest of the body is feeling, because again, we are not just a leg raised in the air. We are all the parts of our body working together with our breath. So we breathe in, notice that space, and we exhale and we draw that leg in. Have a little bend in the knee if it's feeling too tight. Be kind to yourself. If that left leg is straight, bring the knee back up and drop the right ankle over the left knee. So we're coming into a reclined pigeon pose. And again, we can stay here just using that right hand to gently push the right knee away, or we can lift the left leg, circle the hands behind the thigh, draw the left knee in. Just staying here for a few breaths, or as long as you want to, really. Unhook the legs, again, maybe give them a little hug before dropping the right foot to the floor and extending that left leg skywards. Shoulders are soft, breath is even, foot is flexed, and again, maybe lengthening that right leg as well. Breathing in, breathing out, just working with where you are today. Every day is different. Bringing a bend back into that right knee as we drop the left foot over the right knee. Again, either staying here, just pushing the knee away with the hands, drawing in, hugging, seeing where we are on this side. Stay here for as long as you have time for, as long as you want to. And then releasing that leg again, giving yourself a big hug here. Crossing your legs over at the ankles, maybe holding on that, giving yourself a big hug here. Bringing yourself back into a seated position when you are ready. So you can use this class as a standalone, or you can add it on to another practice, or just use it as some gentle stretches either before or after any exercise you do. I do hope you enjoyed this practice, and if you did, please press the like button, the subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you again on the mat soon. Thank you very much.